Welcome to the FocusCast. On this episode, we're talking about a little thing called work-life balance.
Oh, okay, bro. So you're a solopreneur, right? Side hustler. Your livelihood may be dependent on how much input, you're putting into your system, your whatever your business is.
Oh, that's
So
pretty...
if you're not working, you're not earning.
Oh.
You're just burning cash.
That's right, and that's becomes the conundrum in this idea called...
Work-life balance.
That's right. So how do we balance work and life when you gotta hustle to make the next check?
That's a good question, bro.
I think we should talk about that today, and I think we should dig in.
Let's dig in, bro. I'm Jonathan Noel.
And I'm Brian Noel,
This is the FocusCast
where we drop focus guides for solopreneurs and side hustlers
with a six-figure goal.
So let's get focused as...
Boy.
Boy. What's the problem, bro?
So we're talking about work-life balance.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
It's kind of a lofty, not very sexy.
Yeah, it's been talked about a while.
But so kind of the problem is you take your work life with you sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's constantly on your mind. It's eating you up because you got to earn.
You got to earn.
Especially if you're a solopreneur, whatever it may be. But all this stress, it's not good for you. So,
Yeah.
if we're trying to recharge at the end of the day, but we're thinking about work, what is that doing to us, bro?
It's slowly killing us.
Yeah, so let's start. So this is a little excerpt, quotation from the CDC about stress. Let's hear it.
So short-lived or infrequent episodes of stress pose little risk, right?
Right.
So, but when stressful situations go unresolved, how many unresolved things do you have in your business? The body is kept in a constant state of activation, which increases the rate of wear and tear on the biological systems. Ultimately, fatigue or damage results, and the ability of the body to repair and defend itself can become seriously compromised. As a result, the risk of injury or disease escalates.
Whoa, I think that sums it up quite nicely, right? I mean, that's why I threw it in there, right? This is a perfect little summarization.
Yeah.
Stress kills you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that simple.
Well, and what's crazy is work-life balance came up because we searched what the top struggles for solopreneurs, and it makes sense. Like you're constantly working, and there's so many challenges to overcome. So many things.
All of a sudden, you're the accountant. You're
Ugh.
doing sales. You got to manage the website. It's just you.
And that's not even the work.
That's not
all
even
the work
that's
to
not
do
even
the work.
That's all the bullshit you have to do around the work.
Oh gosh, no
So-
wonder this is a struggle for solopreneurs.
So got this one. This is from the Encyclopedia of Occupational Safety and Health, conditions for chronic work stress. So these are things that may happen to you, like we're talking about with stress, with chronic stress. That's just over time. You may be experiencing a nice little bit of cardiovascular disease.
Oh,
Skeleton
musculoskeletal disorder?
Yep.
Wow, that's serious.
Physiological disorders,
Psychological
suicide.
disorders.
Yes, those psychological disorders.
Suicide. That's
Suicide,
tragic.
cancer, ulcers, impaired immune function.
Yeah, so you might be sick a lot because you're stressed all the time, which adds to the stress because you got to work and then you're sick.
Yeah, and working when you're sick is stressful.
Gosh. Well, we need a fun fact, bro. What's this fun fact?
Now that we're talking about all this death and destruction in your body, let's hit a little fun fact. Yeah, so this concept of work-life balance is not new at all. All right, this is...
I'm not the only one suffering from this.
No, you're not alone. But the idea that one should limit the amount of time spent at work dates back to the manufacturing laws of the late 1800s, when the work hours of women and children were restricted. By 1938, the Fair Labor Standards Act established a 44-hour work week.
Wow. The Fair Labor and Standards Act. I want to look that up. Anyway,
Yeah.
44 hours a week.
And now the standard is what, 40 hours?
It's 40 hours, I guess.
But if you're a solopreneur, it's probably 60.
Yeah, we should look that up, the standard working hours of
You
solopreneurs.
think we would have done that?
Yeah, well, hey, The best
Hey.
part about an episode is people can tell us what else they want to know, and we can cover it again.
Do it.
So, among all of these challenges, the reality of trying to launch your business or your side hustle, we need some solutions to this work-life balance. So,
Yeah.
this concept of diminishing returns at work is
Yeah.
a great concept.
And real quick before I hit this, you do see some people online, and I get it. If you want to be a billionaire, if that's what you actually want, you never stop working.
Yeah.
Don't worry about work-life balance. Go ahead and kill yourself. Nothing matters. But I mean, personally, that's not my goal.
It's not my end goal.
I don't need to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, my value in life is not.
I don't give a shit about that.
predicated on
I
my
think
contribution in the work standpoint.
Exactly. I think for us normal people, you don't need that.
Yeah, it means. I think most people I've talked to that are solopreneurs or side hustlers is they want to create a certain life, right? And
Yeah.
typically that life, especially now, is freedom.
Exactly.
They want to have the freedom to take their family on a vacation and be gone for a week or 2 weeks. They want to have the freedom
That's
to.
the whole point. It's not about the money. It's about the freedom.
Yeah, take a hike. Like, I want to take a hike today. But if you work at a W-2 that you're working 60 hours a week and, like, you're nervous if you take an extra 5 minutes on your lunch break that someone's going to be watching you.
That sounds horrible.
So a lot of times side hustlers are working outside of their W-2 environment to try to build a life that they want to live, or they're executing a business that's their passion. And so they're trying to create a business that monetizes their passion.
Yeah.
Man,
So let's hit these diminishing returns.
let's do it, bro. It's a good concept.
This is perfect. I mean, for those workaholics out there. So this is from stanford.edu. The declining effectiveness of long hours is manifested not only in marketable output, but also in a rising probability of ill health and accidents. The evidence of this has been found both for blue collar and white collar workers in shorter hours of work. Shorter hours of work might benefit both firms and workers.
Yeah.
Long story short on this one.
I love this.
You reach a point where you're not as effective.
Yeah.
So you're actually working is not not a valuable use of your time.
Yeah, so like let's take it back to when this originally was, what did we say, 1938, so Fair Labor Standards Act. So there's return on work, right? So if you have a worker and they're doing something physical and they're working on their 9th hour of the day and their body becomes fatigued, and let's say they're working on a thing that equals $100,000. Well, if they become so physically fatigued that they break that thing, then your business has, right? It has an expense associated with that worker working too hard. So if you think about that in the context of white collar, right?
And people become liabilities after a certain amount of work hours.
Yeah, if you have a manager who manages 12, 20 people, and that manager is overworked and exhausted, and they lead a meeting and they act like a piece of shit, just an asshole, and they yell at people, and then you've got 20 people who are not motivated, go back to their desk and just do whatever they have to do to get through the end of the day, not contributing to the value of the company, all because this manager couldn't figure out how to take their own break.
So don't hire those managers.
Well, this is what's so weird. Like owners really struggle with this, especially Gen X or Boomer owners. Like, they don't understand the concept of, if your people are really tired,
They're not efficient.
Yeah, just because they're sitting at a desk doesn't mean they're bringing value to the company.
Yeah. So we're looking at this. We all reach a certain point where maximum work yield has been reached, and anything beyond that is less efficient. So
Think about that for yourself as a solopreneur. Talk about some introspective work that's required.
You have to make yourself stop working because it's not an effective use of your time anymore, because you're less efficient because you've already hit your limit for the day.
Yeah. So like, you're sitting there, you're neglecting your friends, your family, and yourself, but you're like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. but you're just spinning for like an hour.
Exactly. So if you wait until the morning, so by the end of the day, something that would take you an hour because you're just done, you're spent.
Yeah.
The very next day might only take you 10 minutes.
Oh,
So I used to work, I mean, I still work, I guess, in insurance, but I know a lot of guys who fix cars.
yeah.
And it's the same thing with them. You want to keep making money because you make money per vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
But by the time you've been working for 12 hours,
yeah.
it's not efficient anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you're just too slow. By the end of the day, you're too beat up.
Well, and it's like in a context where lives are at stake, like think truck drivers. So there's laws around how many hours you can drive and then how much time you have to spend in between those drive intervals. Well, if you're exhausted while you're driving a freaking 18-wheeler, I mean, what's at risk is you falling asleep at the wheel and killing a bunch of people on the road. So if you think about
That's
that,
not good for anyone.
it's not good for
It's
anyone.
not good for the business, the people who get hit, the people who die. I mean, there's no winning in that scenario.
Yeah, and what's hard about solopreneurs is the effect isn't that drastic. So we accidentally fall into these patterns, but we're slowly killing ourselves every single day by not stopping and resting.
Seems like so the moment you reach that peak output and you're starting to go down on the curve, right?
Yeah.
That's when you just stop and you start doing other stuff that you need to do, like working on your health.
Yeah, or like if you need to run some errands, like jump in the car and just go run some errands. But what's interesting, like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Because what's so counterintuitive is you're working really hard trying to launch your business. Maybe you're a mom and you got kids, you got a spouse, and you're trying to be a great parent, you're trying to be a great spouse, and you're working really, really hard to try to create this future for your family. And someone comes up to you when you're working really hard and you're like, what should I do? I've got all these problems to solve. And someone says, you should stop working.
You're going to be like, okay,
Yeah, it's like that's the dumbest advice I've ever heard. I've got all these things I need to do. And so, but the greatest advice in that moment may be just stop working.
Yeah. Be more intentional about when you're working and when you're not.
So solopreneurs, we love to read about people who are, quote, successful, right? And I say quote because
Success is different for everyone.
Yeah. But here's a study, right? So Harvard Business Review study, 200 interviews with 78 business professionals in a stressful, highly demanding jobs.
Yeah.
We learned a few things from these.
Yeah, I was
people.
reading about this. I think it was like law firms and whatever those kind of high demanding, super intense jobs. So the meat and potatoes of the study, 30% of men and 50% of women in the sample appear to consciously resist working long hours, describing a variety of strategies they develop to maintain a healthier work-life balance.
Wow.
With the details of every individual case deferred, the study suggested a common mental process that consistently helped this group of professionals to change the way they worked and lived with a positive outcome.
Before we get into these 5 things that they mentally, kind of their mental reps, but I love this quote: consciously resist working long
Just
hours.
like we were just saying. You have to, because some people are workaholics, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and there's a lot of people that push out this message of like, I work 90 hours a week and this is the way it's supposed to be. And like, honestly, I just think that's a bogus bullshit message.
Yeah. And I mean, it depends on what you want, right? I guess. I mean, if you want to be the absolute upper echelon, top tier, number one recognized in the world of whatever, you have to do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is like us common people.
But I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, but think about it, right? Like us,
Your average person's not doing that.
us common people, right? In this world, there's the majority of human beings in this world. We associate wealth with work, but yet we idolize people sitting on the yacht who are extremely wealthy. And you know what they're not doing? Physically working, but you know what they're doing? Their money is working for them.
Yeah.
Their investments, they have return on their investments. total side note here, but I read the other day that according to the IRS, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income.
Yeah.
7 streams of income. So you probably got some rental properties, commercial, residential. You got a couple businesses. You've got your investments that have dividend yields. So again, like we're working so hard to be like the people who don't work, but in our minds, we think that the reason they're not working is because they worked hard enough to get to that point. And I think that's the misconception that's false.
They worked hard and then they worked smart enough at the same time.
They invested, like Rich Dad Poor Dad. What's the famous quote? Don't work for your money, let your money work for you.
Yeah.
So again, like from a solopreneur who has a skill set that requires work to earn income, you just work, but you're trying to get to a lifestyle of people who they don't work for money.
They don't. They don't.
Anyway, it's just so ass fucking backwards. Sorry, we didn't have the mute button on that. Anyway, okay, so five pieces, these seemingly smart people in high stress environments, bro. What do they do?
They interviewed these people, high stress environments, and it's funny. I love that they said they consciously had to stop themselves from working.
Yes. Like it's front of their mind to think about, I need to stop working.
Probably because they're smart enough to realize their output at a certain amount, at a certain time of day, at a certain amount of hours is not worth their time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know?
Oh, say it again though.
The output, once you're tired enough and you've reached your limit, your output is actually no longer worth your time. So you focus on other shit, plain and simple.
Yes.
So there's 5 habits when they were doing these interviews that they would focus on.
Yes.
One was pause and denormalize.
What are they denormalizing?
That work is your entire life.
Oh my gosh. So this concept of in our culture where in a manufacturing environment where owners hired labor and their profit came from labor, the humans are the labor. So they have to denormalize this culture norm that workaholics are the ones that win. They have to denormalize that.
I think for people who are on like working jobs, W-2s, for big companies, not small companies, but big companies, you have to understand if sales go down, if shit hits the fan, they will not hesitate to fire you.
Yep.
You are expendable, hands down.
No matter who you are.
You're expendable in small companies, big companies. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yep.
I'm expendable to Brian right now.
Hey, you can walk from this podcast and say, I'm never doing any of this again. Okay. Right?
I might show up one day and there's just another guy sitting in my chair. But, and there's people who feel like you work hard, you do a good job, you do provide value, and it feels like you're unfireable. It feels like, man, I'm part of this.
Yeah.
However, at the end of the day, the people you've never met who control the money, if sales go down, something happens, recessions, and they need to cut people, you are not off the list.
You're gone.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not safe.
You're
so
not
anyway,
safe.
That's what I think. Don't kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about it in previous podcasts, right? Like it's the people who skip vacations and then they get fired and they get so bitter. They're like, I devoted my entire life. And it's just like, well, I get it. That's that's sad. That's unfortunate.
It sucks because you want to work hard or you want to be.
Yeah.
You want to,
Well, here's the conundrum though, bro, because like in a W-2 environment, it's like, I think Gen Zs understand this reality of.
That's true.
Yeah, like this whole concept of just work 80 hours a week and then you'll get a pension, like that's gone. That doesn't exist in our society
there
anymore.
are no more pensions, are there?
I don't even know. Maybe. But maybe like government and stuff like that. But so now it's like, okay, cool. I know I shouldn't give my entire life to a W-2. So now people after their W-2 give their entire life to their side hustle or their business that they're trying to launch. And that becomes the difficult process because it's like, don't put all this effort into something that someone else owns, put all this effort into something you own, but you still have to be conscious of you get to a point to where you are not providing value to yourself and you should take a break.
Take a
break. That's right. You should take a break. All right. So the second, we got 5 things on this list. I love this. So first was pause and denormalize. The second is pay attention to your emotions. And I think one of the best qualities of leadership, whether you're leading yourself as a solopreneur, is pay attention to your emotions. So I think the greatest skill set you can obtain if you want to launch your own business is the ability to be introspective and have high emotional intelligence about where you are in this moment.
Yeah. I've been trying this exercise, and maybe it would be helpful for some people, but right before I go to sleep, right, I recap my entire day backwards.
Oh,
And
I
this
like that.
really, really
That's good.
helps you look at how you reacted, what was going on, and it just kind of helps your memory and it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of just using your brain in a new way.
Oh,
So you replay your whole day backwards, but you kind of notice things about what you did, your patterns.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful for these solopreneurs,
Bro.
side hustlers.
I think we should do a whole episode on that because because again, like what do we obsess over at the end of the day? Like a client that was a jerk and how we didn't respond correctly, or a client sent an email, especially for solopreneurs, a client sent an email and you haven't emailed them back yet because they're a jerk, and you're just thinking through your mind like, gosh, what should I do? But we don't stop and just, I don't know if not emotionally is the right word, because we have emotions, you can't get rid of those, but like the mental exercise of just like, what did I do when I woke up? Okay, I did this. What habit was that? I
you
woke
just
up.
look at it subjectively without emotion. Is what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Or like try your best to replay the day, and then as like the counselor or the mentor to yourself, step outside your body and say, I woke up and I was tired.
I think that's what's helpful.
Why was I tired?
I think that's what's helpful about this exercise I was talking about, because
That's good, bro.
it's not about, you're almost viewing it, like you said, from outside of yourself.
Yeah.
You're just trying to remember your day and just kind of look at it
Look
from
for
a third
patterns.
party.
Yeah. Like I sent out 20 emails and I got 4 positive responses, but I got 1 negative response, and I thought about that negative response for 45 minutes. Why did I do that?
Yeah. Well,
This is good. Okay.
so
We
we got
should do an
5 here.
episode
We're
on
gonna,
that. Okay, so
we've got now, just in this episode, we've discovered 5 more episodes we need to do. Number 3 on this list, if you even remember the list, we keep getting sidetracked. Reprioritize
yeah. You know, there's nothing wrong with reprioritizing constantly.
all the time. You have to.
Every day.
Getting older and evolving is literally reprioritizing everything.
That's
You
a good
realize
quote.
this doesn't matter. This does. You know, it's like,
It's funny you say that, because like in middle school, like if a girl breaks up with you,
it's
like
the end of the world.
it's the end of the world.
You're dead. You're dead inside.
You're like, yes, you're like listening to emo music, painting your fingernails black, and you're just like, my life is over. And
go
you're just like, when you get older, you're just like, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah, you find an abandoned building. You're throwing rocks through the window. You're like, I need to break something.
Yeah. You're like, I don't even care if I go to prison for the rest of my life. This world's over. Oh my gosh.
And then
That's
when
funny.
then when you're in your 40s, it's like,
Yeah, you're like, my 401k is not high enough. I need to really set up my SEPA IRA. Oh my gosh, this is great.
it's so true. Reprioritize.
So once you reprioritize, number 4 on the list is consider your alternatives. So again, like there's so many things here. And again, this list is not from us. This list is from people who are, quote, successful from the study.
From the Harvard Business Review.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think.
yeah. What are your alternatives?
What are your alternatives? So, all right. So instead of working beyond your maximum yield point, maybe your alternative is doing shit that's going to recharge you for the next day.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
because you want to wake up and crush
Yeah.
and absolutely just destroy the work.
And recharge is so different for everyone, and it may
Exactly.
evolve. Like to your point, like listening to someone else's podcast for 30 minutes while you take a walk may just like super jazz you up, or calling a friend. You know, for me,
It's different for everyone.
yeah, for me,
You
I
gotta
love.
find your recharge.
Yeah, I take a walk and I call people that I haven't talked to in a long time. I'll just go down the phone.
Smart.
And I'll just be like, oh man, I haven't talked to this person in a while, and that totally recharges me, because they're like, oh man, what's going on? I'm like, this is going on. So it's whatever that is for you. So 4 on the list is, that was 4. 5 on the list is,
Implement changes.
yeah, what does that mean?
That means none of the other shit matters unless you actually do something about it.
Oh, that's good. That's true. That's true. So once you've reprioritized and you've considered it's funny, the first two is like more introspective, pause and denormalize.
Yep.
So you're like, wait a minute, this isn't normal. I need to take a minute, and then I need to pay attention to my emotions. That's number 2. And then once you do those things and you kind of reset emotionally and mentally,
Then you can reprioritize.
then you go into action, you reprioritize, consider what your alternatives are, and then you implement those changes.
Almost like
Wow.
they put them in an order on purpose.
These are smart people. I love reading what smart people do. All right,
amazing.
so here's some practical ways that we can take these 5 steps. Number 1, we can take breaks, and I talk about this a lot. We can walk. We can rest our eyes. If you're if you're white collar and you're in front of a screen all day, if you're blue collar and you're looking at a thing with your hands, just take a break, take a
Yep.
walk, and rest your eyes.
So we're doing a episode, or we've done, on the Pomodoro technique.
Yes.
This is kind of a form of time blocking.
Yeah, look that up.
So I've been trying this out, where you do spurts of working, 25 minutes, and then you take like a 5-minute break, and then you do 5 minutes on, or 25 on, 5 minutes off. I like this for the bullshit you really don't feel like doing. This is great for those tasks, like,
set a timer.
yep. For all the busy work that you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, taxes.
Yeah, time blocking, Pomodoro technique. Check it out.
All right, so hit the next bullet, bro. What we got?
Yeah, so this one's just kind of from me. This is not from the business Harvard Review or anything else. But so you can't keep working if your body is completely or messed up. What's the point, right?
Yeah.
There's none of this shit matters if you kill yourself.
Yeah.
You're decrepit. You're in a wheelchair or whatever. You're destroyed. Your body.
Yeah.
You're immobile because you worked so hard.
Yeah, if you die of a heart attack 7 years into creating your life that you want to live,
Without the health,
was
what's
that
the
worth
point?
it?
Now, I understand there's different circumstances. If you're providing for people
yeah,
and they're relying on you, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to kill yourself
you got
to
work.
make it work. You
Yeah.
got to work. But for you, let's just say you're an average person like me, single, no kids. Why am I going to kill myself?
Yeah.
For work? If my body is destroyed, I can't keep working.
Well, and the reality of that bullet is the workload never ends.
The
And
workload never ends. So you have to
Yeah.
pace yourself.
You can't finish it all. And again, it goes back to in an episode we're going to talk about staying motivated. In that episode, it talks about like what joy do you have? Do you find pleasure in the result, or do you find pleasure in the work itself? And I think this is what's really interesting. So the workload never ends, and you can't finish it all. So why kill yourself over the impossible? So if we come to a cadence in which we love the work itself, then then the discipline associated with that is taking breaks. Love the work, but love the break.
I love playing music, right? I love playing bass, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to play bass for 14 hours a day, 7
Yeah.
days a week.
Yeah.
I think literally just the posture alone would start destroying my back.
That's true.
Like I would be, it just wouldn't be ergonomic. Like, I would be doing damage to
You
my
gotta
body.
stretch.
So anyway, so this is just a fun little thing to wrap it up here, right? I was curious. So I looked up the happiest, there's like some happiness index.
Yeah.
So
We're
Finland,
not high on that, by the way.
Finland,
We're not.
top 20, I think. Finland was ranked the happiest country 5 years in a row by the World Happiness Report. And I was just curious. I was like, what's their work life culture? So I had to look up, and this is from Statista. I had to look up the amount of hours they work average per week. What is it, bro?
36 hours.
36.
So the Labor Standards Act established was 44 hours, and the happiest country in the world, their average work week is 36 hours.
That's the average. That means there's people working less. Some working more.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is I'm sitting here in my head thinking, like, what is the office like if you work for the World Happiness Report company? Shit. Is there a manager in there who's stressed out because we got to get the happiness report out? We got to get it
out
done
by tomorrow.
What the hell?
That's amazing, bro.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, it just goes to show that we have been trained, and we can go into this, and this is more bar talk, but we have been trained to believe that our
Consumerism.
value in society is our labor contribution. But what's interesting is if we are labor, you got to ask yourself who's profiting off the labor hour. And so when you look at humans and happiness and our ability to efficiently work and contribute, 36 hours is the standard for peak happiness.
Yeah, I think absolutely.
If
I
you
agree with that. But it is different for entrepreneurs or W-2s.
yeah, it's
At
a
the end of
little
the day,
different.
it's just a different dynamic.
Yeah.
I think if you work for a big company, you show up, you get it done, you get out, you leave, you don't kill yourself for them.
yeah,
If it's for yourself,
yeah,
depending on your circumstances, maybe you got to push.
yeah. But even in that inefficiencies, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we look at as a solopreneur, you have to look at what tasks are generating revenue.
Yeah.
So you can work 80 hours a week
And not make anything.
and not make anything. So in all of this, so you don't burn out yourself or everyone around you, because workaholics are extremely exhausting, and they burn through relationships very, very quickly. You have to look at what input is yielding the most valuable output. If you are selling and you spend 40 hours a week, or let's say 30-40% of your time selling, but you're not getting a return on that investment, you got to look at, well, maybe I should improve how I sell, right?
So true.
So that's the biggest thing here is the book 4 Hour Work Week is a book that I absolutely love, and the whole book talks about automation and systems of infrastructure, to where setting up a system to where you reduce as much input as possible that yields the highest output. And that's the goal. And as a solopreneur, when you take a walk, you should think about what are you doing that's actually equals money.
So true.
So anyway, work-life balance.
I think that pretty much sums it up. Anything we want to add?
I don't think so.
Shoot. Well, let's hit it, bro.
Let's hit it. Let's
All right.
go.
Thank you for listening to the FocusCast. Go to youtube.com/thefocuscast and slap that subscribe button. Head to thefocuscast.com to share what you want to hear next. Go forth and be focused as boy.
Boy.